Waiting, waiting, waiting. Circle, circle, circle. We're live. Yay. I can see that you can hear, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Can you hear me? All right. Hi. So today we actually have a topic and we're going to try to stick to it. That's going to be a thing that we attempt to do. I'm going to close the window a tiny bit so you can hear less outside traffic. There we go. Perfect. And I have a link for you, for those of you who don't know what the first half of my title for today is, Star Trekking. Do you guys know the song before I post it? Remember from Newgrounds days? Does anybody know the Star Trekking song? Star Trekking across the universe. We'll try, Weasley. We'll try. If it does work, that's fine. We'll try. Oh, it worked. Yeah, it worked. Perfect. So for all the people who can enjoy the song, hi, Maddie. I know the exclamation mark is because you're like, Star Trek. It's finally happening. Oh. So yes, we're going to talk about Trek. Hopefully, if you're not into Trek, this will still be entertaining for you. And nonetheless, just listening and watching us blather on about the madness that is all of Trek, which is so much. There is so much Star Trek out there. And it makes me so happy, even though not all of it is good. But that's all right. Okay, so I guess I should ask firstly, how many of you who are here are fans of Star Trek or have seen it? And if so, which ones have you seen? As always, like the end of my videos, that was a lot of questions all at once. So let's see how many you guys can answer. Oh, the Big Bang Theory. No, we're not gonna, no salt. Even though the first episode that aired of Star Trek TOS was The Man Trap, because they did not air in chronological order or even in filming order. So that one is the first one that airs, which is kind of an odd start to the series, but that's all right. But anyway, in that episode, there is a creature that is the last of its species that needs salt to survive, and they're out of salt on the colony planet. And so when Kirk and them come to resupply them, the creature ends up beaming up onto the ship, and it can take the form of people that people on the ship desire or want to see, so that can suck the salt out of them. Long story short, I am that creature. So we need to keep the salt away from me. Oh. Ah, yes. Salt, only salt. Do you guys have any favorite episodes out there? Because I have so many faves, so many I don't like, but way more faves than dislikes. Good evening for me. Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you are. I think Mr. Shipper is sneaking in because I started streaming while he was out, so he's going to be good and sneak in. Tribbles! The trouble with tribbles. Alliteration. Oh, I love Deep Space Nine. I mean, everybody knows here that it's no secret. Deep Space Nine is my favorite one. It is my heart. The one where Kirk splits into two Kirks is one of my favorite episodes because he's overacting so hard and it makes it so amazingly watchable. Like just him screaming, "I'm Captain Kirk" is the best thing ever. Oh, The Wire is a fantastic episode. Like that's just a straight up good episode. The one where Spock doesn't wear a shirt, where they're in prison together because they're both not wearing a shirt in that one. How did it already get here? We just started. Oh, I'm sorry you have to work, Carissa. Carissa, have a good time at work. Evil bearded Spock. Evil bearded Spock is great. Oh, Spurk. Classic Spurk. The unofficial or slightly official launching point of modern fandom as we know it. So we owe a lot to Star Trek. So much. Also, just the genesis of so much of what we've come to recognize as modern fandom comes from there, which is really exciting. Anya, really? You like Enterprise? Tell me what you like about it. I don't hate it, but like it has it has some severe flaws in my opinion. I'm sure there must be other Mixburg fans in here incurable because it's such a fascinating ship and it's really come to the fore with the new movies because the new movies do not make as strong a case for Spurk as the original series did, but they do make a strong case for McCoy and Kirk and also for Spock and McCoy, which is exciting for me. So actually, this topic is so big that I don't even know where to start. Fighting Falcon, me, I'm in the house with you. I don't know where to start. There's just so much to cover. Do you have any idea where we should start our Salt track? Like, where should we even begin? Like, should we just pick a track and go from there? Should we talk about the new movies? The new movies coming up. Like, they're gonna make 2 more, which is exciting for me. What about Kira and Odo? You know, she didn't want to do that. The actress who played Kira, she didn't want that to happen, but she had already vetoed her and Dukat as a romance, so she didn't really have enough pull to also veto her and Odo, but it wasn't a romance that she actually felt would happen. You wouldn't know that from how she plays it, because she plays it very well. They both do, but it's not something she actually wanted to happen. We can't start from the beginning, especially with Star Trek, because then we'd have to start from Discovery or Enterprise, rather. Hi, Rogue. The beginning. In the beginning, there was Tio. Catherine. Oh yes, the Khan controversy of Into Darkness, which was a big. I think that was even a bigger controversy because everybody guessed it right away, and then they had to backtrack and be like, "No, it's totally not Khan," and then it was, and so I think that very much added to it. And then you did have the whole. It's hard, like I mean, it's not hard to like because it is whitewashing, so I don't understand why that one kind of got brushed over the rug and some that aren't quite or more ambiguous didn't. I mean, we'd already been doing that in the original series, and now we did it again with Benedict Cumberbatch. It was just very like, it's, and then on top of that, just narratively, I think my biggest problem with Into Darkness, which is because I've actually talked to some people about it, and they're here in this stream. You know who you are. About how it works better for newer fans than older ones because it's relying a lot on older fans to kind of bring your old emotional impetus into it, and it doesn't earn it itself, which didn't work for me at all. I didn't feel it earned any of its high points. I also hated that they called up old Spock to be like, hey, what should we do in this situation in our universe? And then he's like, all universes are different, except when it comes to Khan, who is evil across all universes. I'm sorry if you were hoping for something more interesting, but you're not going to get it because J.J. Abrams can only rehash. He has one story to tell, and he will tell it over and over and over and over and over again until you're sick of it. Oh, the animated series. Yes, I always forget about the animated series, and I've seen it a couple of times through, but I always forget about it. Oh, the Tarantino Star Trek. Why'd you have to remind me that that was a thing that exists? It sounds like an Elseworlds comic come to life. You know, like, hey, who can we get that you wouldn't expect to direct a Trek movie? How about Quentin Tarantino? Yeah, but Fighting Falcon, that's only because Quinto is a more realistic actor than Shatner, not because it earns any of its emotional appeal. It's just because he can deliver more of a genuine emotion into his voice, whereas Shatner, I love him, but he's more hammy and theatrical. And so you do get the very, Khan! Oh, my son is dead, Khan! Oh, Trek was your gateway into the internet. don't know. Quinto's fine. His Spock's very different from the original Spock, and I feel less relatable because he's worked through so many of the things that were what drew people to Spock in the first place. At least in my opinion, a lot of the struggles of, you know, that you can read into that, especially surrounding biraciality, which is important to me for obvious reasons, don't really come through in the newer version as much. Who's my favorite Star Trek character of all time? Out of all of them, do I have to pick unilaterally, or can I pick one from each? Because I like different characters in each of them. That's hard. I can't pick one. Okay, TOS, McCoy. Although a lot of that has to do with tie-in novels. We'll go in airing order. TNG. Who do I like on TNG? They all irritate me a fair bit on TNG. Like, I love them, but they all irritate me. It's a kind of like wanting to shake them by the shoulders. Picard, I guess. Like, I like Picard. He irritates me the least. Actually, he's my favorite captain. DS9, Bashir, Voyager. The struggles are real. B'Elanna, I think. I'm kind of going just by character arcs. Enterprise. Trip. I don't know what's wrong with me, but Trip. Discovery. We'll see. Who are your guys' favorites? Let me know. Tell me and why. Tell me. I need to know. Like I said, there's just too much Trek. I almost wish that there was something to be really salty about so I could just go onto a salt rant about something that really upsets me about Trek, but I can't think of anything that genuinely angers me. There can only be one Highlander in space. Sassy McCoy is all of the things. Judgmental McCoy, judging them all, getting off shift, having a drink, and just being like, why? How did this happen? How did I end up here? How do I feel about Beyond? Like Star Trek Beyond? I liked Beyond. I did. I think out of all of the new ones, I liked it the most. It felt the most cohesive to me and the most confident in doing its own thing. And that's what I liked about it. It finally felt like they were gelling in me and like, okay, we accept what we are and we're going to do it. And I was like, yes. Even though the Beastie Boys, I didn't mind the idea of everybody listening to classical music. Like, I got what they were trying to go for, like, oh, like this old Renaissance. But the idea of like 90s music and stuff being classical music will forever be hilarious. How cool, Fighting Falcon, would it have been if they had allowed Tom to be the same character he was in that episode of TNG, like they had planned initially, where he was the pilot who had gotten in trouble with Wesley? Oh, I wish that had happened so much. I really do. Oh, bye, Top Hats. Star Trek needs Kirk to go Han Solo. In what way? Are we going to talk about Solo? This isn't the Star Wars chat. I know, right? I love when things can link together, and I feel like it would really have worked. Oh, I love his daughter so much. I've read some great fics about Joanna and Jocelyn. Not fics, books, actual tie-in books. I collect tie-in novels. So, like, I have a whole box. I wish I could pull it out and get it for you, but it is genuinely stuck underneath my daughter's bed. So there's no way that I can go get it. But, I was going to show it to you. I finally got A Stitch in Time, the novel written by Andrew Robinson, who played Garrick. And I finally got it, and I'm so excited. McReese, I'm going to air another one of those controversial opinions that we like to do here. I really like Wesley. I do. Not at first. He's really poorly written, but by the end, when they're phasing him out and when he stopped being a Mary Sue, when he starts to be an actual character, I really like him. And then you see the potential of what he could have been and what they didn't do which is also very sad because by the time he leaves, I'm like, I actually wanted him to stay, but it is what it is, and I'm sure he didn't mind getting out. I mean, who writes death threats to a teen? That's just that's gross. Oh yeah, Incurable Obsession. He got death threats. He was ruining the show. Another kid character, like, because he is a Mary Sue at first. He is. No, he can do everything. He's a super wunderkind. Everybody likes him. He's so perfect. Get on the bridge. He has a special relationship with the doctor, to the captains, everybody. Oh, is he drunk in the engine room? Like, yeah, I get it. Or when they go to the Paradise Planet and he trips into one of their sacred zones and causes like a whole problem. Like, yeah, I get it. But he gets a lot better. And also, if you're watching it outside of the time it aired and you're removed from all that environment, you're like, this really isn't that bad. It isn't that. I told you, I am the salt creature. So why did I do that? The salt creature never does that. Oh, Plasma, I would love to, but that would be so self-indulgent if I just did like, okay, you need to read Vendetta. And Vendetta is great, by the way. If anybody is interested in diving into that history between Q and Guinan, that book does it. And I love it because I'm there watching Q Who, and everybody's like the Borg. And I'm like, but Guinan knew Q, though. Although I love that episode with the Borg. And I like Voyager grew on me, and I like it, but I don't like what it did to the Borg. The thing with Trek is that lots of times when they dive into an alien species, they get very caricature-y and they lose a lot of what makes them interesting and nuanced. And I really feel that happened with the Borg, and they lost a lot of the real terror for me. Just this force moving through the galaxy with one single-minded goal, governed by nothing. Just completely the antithesis of individuality and your own governance. Like, I love it. I really like the Borg when they appear in that capacity, and just everything from their design to, a cube in space, just a giant cube. What says, like, forget all of your values, like a giant cube in space? It's really great. I like Guinan too. I would have loved more Guinan as well. But that's the thing. Like, TNG has a couple of recurring characters that I really like, and some of them they play with, but they don't do it enough. That's why I love DS9 so much more, because you really get to play with those characters. Although I do like that Barclay's arc starts on TNG and then goes all the way through Voyager. I love Barclay. I might have McReese. I'm not sure. What was it called? Oh, my favorite Trek novel of all time, by the way, if anybody's looking for Trek novels that they might not have checked out, Sarek, A.C. Crispin. Oh, it's so good. I love it. It's a sad book. It's all about the end of Amanda Grayson's life and Sarek going through her journals. And it's just, it's so sad. And there's a bunch of other stuff happening too, involving Klingons, Kirk's nephew, and a bunch of other stuff. But I love it. I really like. Did you know? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Did you know that when the episode Journey to Babel, when you meet Spock's parents, Sarek and Amanda, they got the most fan mail they ever had for Mark Leonard playing Sarek? The chicks were like, we need some of that. Weasley, you heard what you wanted to hear. I love Trek. It's the one, I think Trek is the fandom where I'm the most quote unquote close to being a typical fan, wherein I collect the books, I read all the backstage material, I read biologies, all kinds of stuff. Yes, there have been a couple of crossovers, like comic crossovers. There have been a couple, and they've been interesting. At least with Star Trek, the crossover enters the realm of possibility. Not that that matters for me, but it does for some people. Some people need their crossovers plausible. I do not. Not in the slightest. I feel like we're not salty enough. Yes, there was a Doctor Who crossover. I haven't actually read that one. I haven't read Shatner's stuff. I don't know why I've steered clear of it. It hasn't really been a purposeful thing. When I first started collecting, it was very much I would just read the backs of stuff and pick it up. Now I'm kind of a completionist where I'm trying to fill in the gaps of what I don't have. So I'm very much, on, thrift book and all of that stuff. Actually, I got a Section 31 book the other day that came from a library. It still had its library sticker and everything on it. They'd clearly just been getting rid of it. It's not in print anymore. Yes, there has been a Green Lantern Corps crossover. You did not imagine that. That was a real thing. That's a thing that exists. It is Star Trek Day. Well, every day is Star Trek Day for me. I mean, now that we're talking about it, I'm going to have to stop playing Persona 5 and start rewatching Star Trek again. Oh my gosh. It's so hot. I feel like that's going to be every stream from now on. Just me slowly melting as it goes on. What was that? Yes, I'm playing Persona 5. I'm pretty far into Persona 5, if I do say so myself. Amazingly enough, I did not think I would have enough time to be this far. And I'm definitely going to do some shipping vids. What series would you recommend for a new fan? Ooh, where to start? Okay. I would start with TNG. I think it is definitely will introduce you to the Trek formula and what you can expect the most. And while it is old and of its time, it is not so much as TOS, which I think can be a bit off-putting for a lot of people. And TNG, I think, has more moments that you might pull out. I mean, yeah, people know about like Kirk fighting the Gorn and stuff like that, but they're more parody moments. I think you might have more reference point with TNG. But if you start TNG, I would start from season 3. I would start The Next Generation from season 3. I would not start from 1, because 1 is, unless you're a completionist. I don't hate 1. I don't hate 1 as much as most people. Actually, 1 has one of my favorite episodes in it, but like 1, it can be a bit much for some people. Which captain would you follow? Like, to take orders from? Picard all the way. I like Cisco too. I liked Cisco better when he wasn't a captain. I felt they didn't need to make him a captain. I mean, commander of the Deep Space Nine makes more sense to me, but fine, whatever, a captain. He's a bit lax though, so I mean, you can get what you want. I mean, do you need to borrow a shuttle in the middle of the night? Then Cisco's your captain. He will let you go with a tailor from the ship in a shuttle. But I like Picard, and I really like the Picard speech. The speech that he gives at the end where he just wraps everything up like JD, but only if JD was like your really wise dad. Why do you refuse to watch season 2? Is it Pulaski? I remember when people were shipping Ducat and Cisco. It's a ship that makes a lot of sense. I can't talk. I was low-key shipping Ducat and Kira, and there is so much wrong with that. I really like how morally ambiguous a lot of DS9 is, and I love how it handles religion. It's one of the few shows that actually does it well. Damar X Kira, you know me. You speak to my soul. Do you ever feel weird talking to a camera? Not really, because I'm not really. I'm talking to you. You're here, and I can see your responses. I know, because otherwise I have a script or something, or I know it's going to be posted. So it's not really, Oh, data versus data. I think that Pulaski, it's just hard because they're trying to recreate that McCoy dynamic that they didn't have with Crusher, but they don't need it for that show. I mean, it takes them a long time to realize in TNG that they can just do their own thing. They don't have to recreate the original series, which is when, again, it starts to get really good in season 3 when it finds its own footing. It's too bad because Pulaski's not bad, and I did really like how she gelled with Worf, but otherwise she didn't really work for the rest of the crew, I don't think. Not really. Although she is in one of my favorite episodes of the original series, Is There in Truth No Beauty, where I was actually shipping her with Spock, because I always, in Star Trek, I have so many rare pair ships that I'm the only person in the world that ships, and I'm just sitting there like, like my ship of it's from a tie-in novel with Troy and a Vulcan who comes onto the ship, and I'm like, it's impossible. Babylon 5 does too. I don't connect with the characters as much on Babylon 5, but I do enjoy Babylon 5 too. Deanna or Loxana for what? I love Loxana. I know a lot of people don't like her. Like, I watch SF Debris and I really like his videos, and he has this hate on for Loxana that I find so funny, but I actually really like her. I like her character a lot. I love how she's so vivacious and loves life and is out there and doing her thing. And she really works. It makes sense for a Betazoid to be like that without a concept of privacy or barriers. Of course, they'd be out there and in your face. And I love her big hair and her big, her big dresses. I love that she takes up space and isn't afraid to take up space. I think that's great. Yeah, Loxana people in the house. Oh my gosh, I know, Worf. It's not safe to love Worf. It's just not safe. Oh, Worf is in one of my least favorite episodes of TNG, Birthrights Parts 1 and 2. Also the episodes that made people hate Bashir. But I don't hate Bashir from those, but he is very like, oh my goodness, you're a date. But yeah, that episode where he goes to where the Romulans and Klingons have been forced to cohabit because they've been trapped there and they don't know what's going on out in the world, and he teaches them to hate each other, and he actually is really actively negative and disgusted by the fact that they have had children together. It took me a long time to get over that. A long time. Oh, Bashir. Does anybody else remember Bashir in that really stupid sports outfit from the episode where he's playing whatever sports game that is with O'Brien, with the con man Betazoid? I love that sports outfit. It's terrible. This silver lycra thing with a teal strap, and I love it. I think it's the hottest outfit. Oh my gosh. The racquetball outfit, yes. And all the racquetball stretching. It was so ridiculous. Oh, Bashir. Oh, yeah. Any of the Star Trek casual outfits are so of their time. It's really funny. It's like, I'm looking forward to celebrating the late 80s in the future. I really like Bashir's character development too. He has, I think, one of the best arcs. It's really great, and it actually is really complimentary with Garrick's, and that works so well for me for their ship, which I wish they could have allowed that to happen. That would have been really fantastic. Yes, of course I want to do a cue card video. Any excuse I can have to talk about Q. Oh, here's a good chance to talk about some controversial stuff. Okay, so the Jadzia Ezri debate that a lot of people have. Personally, I like both, but I like Ezri more, which I think is not a very popular opinion to have about it. I think they did a lot of character development for the one season that they had her with, and I think it works really well. And I also like that she had more going on for me than Jotsia. Jotsia was always a little perfect for me, and she was fun, and I loved how she interacted with the other characters. But in terms of herself, I just felt more for Esri, and especially when you saw like her home situation or the episode where she connected with which one was the murderer? Was it Tobin, who was her murderer persona? Yeah, Tobin, who they completely changed the actor from season 3 when she dealt with it to when Esri dealt with it all the way into season 7. Duran, you're right. Tobin was the other one. What was that episode where it was Lex's dad and he came and stole her symbiote? I love that. I'm so into it, but I'm just like, episode names. What are those? What are those? I'm failing. I gotta hand back my Trekkie card. Well, I kind of do podcasts. I mean, I kind of view the Fanversations as like vlogcasts, and I do put up the RSS feeds. But to be honest, I'm just very confused about like how do you podcast? It takes me a while for new things that I haven't started yet. Favorite Cardassians? Oh, come on, don't do that to me. Don't make me pick between Dukat and Garrick. Don't make me do that. I just really like Cardassians in general, though. They're one of the more nuanced aliens on Star Trek, and they stay that way, and I really like that. And I mean, There Are Four Lights is a fantastic episode. There Are Four Lights. It's on my Patreon is where I keep my link to the RSS. Keeping up with the I see that joke all the time, and it makes me smile every time. Keeping up with the Cardassians. Also, if anybody needs fix that are just about Cardassian parents, what do you think of the Mirrorverse? I like it overused. I think the Mirrorverse is extremely overused, and I especially feel that way with Discovery, which is also overusing Section 31. But that is okay, and that is neither here nor there. And Discovery needs at least 3 seasons to see if it's gonna find out what it's doing with itself. We need to give every Trek show at least 3 seasons. It's only fair. It is only fair to give them all at least 3. Although it's really, again, you see like Voyager Cat 22 is saying, it's like, it's not even accessible for most people. And that's why it feels very cut off from the rest of Treks, because the rest of Treks could be something that everybody could experience together. And Discovery is not really like that. So, well, kind of, sort of. I mean, Section 31 emerges in DS9, where they first start mentioning it. And Sloane. I love Sloane. Sloane's fantastic. Oh, well, TOS Sarek all the time. TOS Sarek all day, any day. That sounded so wrong. It's not like that. It's not going to be like that in this stream. Ponfar is really overdone. I mean, the one with Spock worked. The one on Voyager, the second one with Tuvok worked, even though it really undermined the fact that it's made or die, because he could just go to the holodeck. But at least he had a moral quandary about it, and I got it. The other Blood Fever Voyager episode is terrible, where he somehow passes the Ponfar onto B'Elanna. And then the less said about Bounty, the better. Which is just someone's fanfic come to life. Oh, she needs to mate. Which man is she going to mate with? Which is just Bounty in a nutshell. Oh yeah, Odo and Quark. Oh, that's cute. I like their bromance a lot. Secret besties, even though neither one of them want to admit it. No, are you talking about the the episode where her and Tom turn into like lizards? The episode that even the writers hate? Oh my gosh. Oh, Brian, that's a fantastic compliment. Yeah, that would make me so happy. That's a great comment to get on a fic. Yep, Threshold. Threshold. What about, remember when they created the duplicates of themselves on the class, the demon class planets? And then those creations forgot and went off into space and started dying, and they did the fake out Tom and B'Elanna wedding. So many of these episodes, they just sound like, what? What are we talking about? Oh, ship that nobody else has that I do. Trelane and Kirk, and I found one fic online for it once. I've never been able to find it since, but I know it existed and it was real. It was real. To quote Cisco, don't you understand? It is real. Which is still, I love using that clip whenever possible. I created it in my mind. Chakotay and Seven. I know that was so rushed, and she didn't know that they were going to go that way. And she even admitted, Jerry Ryan, that is, if she had known, she would have played it differently. She would have played up a romantic interest in them, but they didn't tell her. So, and I mean, the most obvious ship is Chakotay and the captain. He wanted it to go that way and felt it was the natural evolution of their relationship, especially because they weren't going to be antagonistic, because they were going to come together and everything. And because, you know, they're in space, different rules, they can be trapped for the rest of their lives. Her fiance isn't a thing post season 3, but she didn't want to because she felt that it was going to ruin the message of female empowerment. Even though most fans of that show were female, Voyager had the most female fans and they wanted to see that romance, but she didn't want to. And she actually went into the writer's room, and this is a true story from her, that she said she went in there and told them that she wasn't bleeping Chakotay so that they could just stop. Oh, I love Seven and the Doctor. I love that ship so much. His crush on her is so cute, and them singing together. That's my daughter's favorite episode, where they sing You Are My Sunshine. Yeah. Yes, she had lots of demand, which I love, but some of them, and even she admits this, she's like, so many of them were born of the time and the pressure of being the first female captain that was put on her. And not all of them might have been the best decisions, but I mean, you just do what you can in what you're working with, right? And the sadness of like the fighting between her and Ryan, which is just really sad, but they're both very professional, because you would never tell that on screen. And they're like the dominant femme / ship. And, you know, they have the most important relationship. So it really sucks that Ryan had such a hard time filming those scenes. See, Voyager Cat, like, I don't agree with the idea that you have to be single to be a strong female character, especially when narratively it makes much more sense to, I think that could have been a really strong source of empowerment as well. I just think that's lazy, you know? Lazy writing. Just like, oh, strong equals single. Doesn't have to. Strong equals well written. Ooh, any good Mirrorverse? Ooh. Mirror, Garrick, regular verse Bashir. Fun. Read some. Oh. So fun. It was a different time, but it's still a mentality that a lot of people hold. I mean, look at Rey from Star Wars. That's the main reasoning behind why they're not giving her a romance. So it's definitely not a mentality that's dead. Oh, Wayoon. Oh. So Jeffrey Combs is one of my favorite actors of all time. And I love his, oh my gosh. Oh, Lovecraft Works, like Reanimator is one of my favorite movies. I watch it every year, all the time. It's so good. He was at Comic-Con up here in Toronto, and I was too shy to talk to him. I was too shy. I was like, forever the regrets. I was so shy. I couldn't. Oh, I love Lovecraft Works and Lovecraftian stuff. And like, ooh, that one and From Beyond. From Beyond is disgusting, and I love it. Yeah, I'm too shy to talk to people. Like, sometimes people are like, do you want to go on a panel at a con? And I'm like, I'm too afraid. People scare me. I'm frightened. No one believes that I'm an introvert, but it's true. Ooh, what I'm reading right now in the horror genre is Nosferatu, Joe Hill. I'm loving it. Well, actually, I'm listening to it because it's narrated by Kate Mulgrew, and she is fantastic. She's a great narrator. She does all the different voices and accents and everything. It just feels like really suspenseful. I'm really stressed out when I'm listening to it, which is a sign of a really good narrator and audiobook. Oh, I'm loving it. I really like her voice. I know there were lots of complaints and people say that it's grating. I think it's unique and authoritative, and I like it. I like different types of voices. I can never be comfortable in these videos. Maybe I need the $3.99 chair. But can you do this? Yeah, I know. I found it comforting too. It's odd though. I don't think it should be, but I like it. No, I haven't. You know, I haven't seen a lot of the extroverse stuff, even though I was quite put out when I heard of all the caveats that CBS was putting on those types of things, which I think is a real shame because those things are such an important part of what kept Star Trek popular, you know? Are you disappointed that they never did a DS9 or Voyager movie? At the time, I would have loved to, but I think that, okay, DS9, I think wrapped up well. I do. I think it concluded well, and I don't think it needed anything else. And the expansion tie-in novels work in that verse pretty well, even though they have a fetish of making everybody a captain. Voyager, I think, ended atrociously. Voyager's last season, like, it has some really good episodes and everything, and then it just very abruptly ends with a very cop-out ending. A very morally questionable ending, too. I'm excited for Discovery Season 2. I would be if they'd let everybody watch it, and I could get rid of my Crave. My Crave app. You know how I feel about having to have Crave. Well, Trek does address it, Aaron, in the sense, at least in the 60s, of that everything is accepted. I mean, that is very much because it's meant to be very utopian. They walk it back a bit and acknowledge that people still have problems in TNG, at least when they start doing their own thing, which I appreciate because, of course, people still have problems. But the idea is that it's very much utopian. We've moved past a lot of these ideas. We've moved past racism. We've moved past those types of bigotry. We've cured disease, hunger, all kinds of those kind of things. We have new things. We have new diseases. We have inter-alien relations. We have all of those things to contend with now. And those things are the stand-ins for the representation. And I don't know. I like it. I like that it's very sci-fi about it. Oh, these are the voyages, Brian. These are the voyages. Why? You know, I don't hate that because, I mean, the Crusher thing. Because, I mean, people still have their preferences, right? And the idea that it could be off-putting, I don't think is a bad thing to talk about. I mean, it's not the best handled, but I think that it's an important discussion to have. I don't think anybody who would be put off by it should be labeled or, you know, vilified or anything like that. Although that episode just doesn't understand the Trill, because then later the Trill is have a completely different physiology and everything going on. It's one of those episodes where it's like, huh, so you started the idea here and then decide what you're going to do with it there. Cool. At least you followed up on it. That's a thing. I love TOS. I love it. I am firmly a person who can place something in its time and leave it there. And some of the episodes actually come around and make different points than they were trying to make at the time. Like, remember the last episode where Kirk changes bodies with that woman, and the point is very much supposed to be like, oh, she was supposed to be satisfied with her lot, and that's why she went insane and everything. But when you watch it now, it almost seems to be making the opposite point, that like society kept her down and all of that was their fault. She could have had a really fulfilling career and everything if she had just been allowed to. At least that's always how I read that episode. That episode's just a tragedy, but it does have some great overacting Kirk in it, and it makes a lot of points about women's rights and stuff, even though not all of them. I don't think it's trying to make all of those points. Yeah, exactly. And its intentions, Koya, its intentions are amazing. And the effort it makes to bring different people on screen. It's credited with the first interracial kiss. It's not, but it is the first on screen between that type of mix, even though they aren't actually allowed to kiss, they got to turn it. But, you know, it made so many strides. And, you know, I love it. I have so much fondness for it. It's not perfect and there are things wrong with it, but its intentions are in such the right place that I really enjoy it. Oh yeah, no, Turnabout Intruder was a terrible note to end the series on, but they knew that they were getting canceled, and it's just, I mean, while it was airing, TOS did so badly. Well, like if Q and Janeway actually got together, like has she taken him up on it? We all know that it doesn't do well to take up with Q. Remember Vash? Does anybody else remember Vash? Yeah, well, there was lots of writer turnaround, and when you deal with writer accreditation and all kinds of stuff like that, that's a whole other. Like DC Fontana is one of my favorite sci-fi writers, and like she came up, like lots of her stories are on TOS, and lots of her novels are really great. I love that Picard had to send a memo to the writers asking for more romance for the captain because they just weren't writing it for him. Like, please, more romance for the captain. That's hilarious. It's as great as those fake Disney movie title memos that circulated. Any opinions on where you'd like to see the Trek franchise go in the future? I'd like to see it get more accessible again. Like just in an arena where more people can get access to it, because I know that there are lots of barriers for lots of people getting it, and not everybody wants to be a pirate and have to go around it that way. I'd like to see it go forward instead of continually going back. I'd like to see it be brave and forge ahead and try and do new things moving forward instead of relying on retroactive continuity and trying to bank on things that it knows people already like, and just, you know, do something new. And that could be a space to really introduce some new and interesting things, you know, just new aliens, new worlds, new regulations, all kinds of stuff, you know? That's what I would like to see from it. I'm really, especially I think when going back with retroactive continuity, especially in Trek, which is such a canon focused show, that it's not, you know, people are going to get hung up on canon basically, which is why I think so many people are a bit put out and it feels like they're being ignored in some ways and labeled. Like there's a lot of labeling, I think, against the people who don't like Discovery, which I think is the hardest thing to deal with. Lots of assumptions being made about why people don't like it. A lot of them that aren't very fair. Now I just want to go rewatch Star Trek episodes. I just want to go and I want to watch The Most Toys. Like, I don't know, I like to always start with just some like random episodes that I really enjoy. I really like that one. Data's Day. Yeah, I think we'd all rather deal with porks than if you feed a tribble too much, it reproduces. The worries. The worries. Refresh my memory. Maddie, refresh my memory. Any episodes that you refuse to rewatch? That's like ones I skip every time. Profit and Lace. I think I skip Profit and Lace every single time. Birthright's part 1 and 2. I'll do it, but only because I'm like, I'm going to sit here and watch every episode, but not. No. I hate that episode. Okay, no, that's not fair. I hate part of that episode. If someone made an edit that was just the Bashir and Data part of that episode, I'd watch it. I can watch A Night in Sickbay and some kind of most of Enterprise, even if the episodes aren't good, I can watch. I have this like weird fascination. No, the episode where Trip is impregnated against his will. That's one I have to skip. And they're all like, ha 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 ha. Oh, Hugh. I really like the episode where they find Hugh. I just love that it's in the Star Trek Picard song that people made way back in the day. I think it was like over a decade ago. Just, you know, Picard, I am the cutest of Borg. You will respond to my questions. Did anybody else really want Picard to meet 7 of 9? Because I definitely did. Because you know she would have recognized him. I think that would be so interesting. I liked Skin of Evil, not because like I don't like how Tasha died. I mean, I think they could have written her out another way. I mean, she wanted to go, so that's fine. But I think they could have written her out another way that could have allowed her to enter back with more ease than what they had to do, because when they wrote her back in, which they did, it was much more difficult because of how they'd gotten rid of her. But at the same time, I do like that everybody respected her death, and it was always something that they remembered and paid like homage to, and it mattered. It always mattered, and they remembered it, and that's more than you can say for a lot of deaths. Yeah, I've actually read a very good one. It was a Q card fic where they had to do something, and so Q took them to Janeway's ship, and they ended up meeting there. Right, the modifieds. That's such an interesting discussion. I'm so glad that DS9 had it, and it's like it's a real discussion that we're probably going to have to start having as we like live Gattaca, which I'm not ready for. I'm not ready for it. And the thing is, too, is that they mostly showed the augments who went wrong. They didn't show all the ones like Bashir who had gone right. So it's interesting because in Trek's history, it's understandable why they treat them that way with the whole Khan thing and the eugenics war. That would be fascinating. Who else would love a series about the eugenics war? Like, there's so many interesting things they mentioned in Trek history that they haven't really talked about yet, which is why I think Discovery irks me a bit, because there are so many other things. I'm like, but there were all these other things we haven't talked about. If you had to go back, there were so many things we could have gone back to. Like, no more prequels. I know, right? No more prequels. The great series of Khan books. I think they're by Greg Cox. I love them. I think that's another thing about Into Darkness for me, which is just that, you know, again, it's like, well, this thing also happened, but we're never going to define it. I want to do so many Trek ships, but I've got to confine myself. Will I review A Stitch in Time? I don't know. I want to. It's not that I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to, you guys. What's everybody's favorite Trek movie if they've seen them all? Mine's actually The Undiscovered Country. Christopher Plummer Klingon. I love Undiscovered Country and how it deals with aging. I love things that deal with aging. I don't know. Wrath of Khan is good too. Like, Wrath of Khan is great. It really holds up, unlike the first one. The first one does not hold up, especially because it really wants, you know, to be like, look at our special effects. They're so good. They're not anymore. I love Galaxy Quest so much. Galaxy Quest so lovingly pays homage, at the same time mocks it so mercilessly. I really enjoy it. I've seen Galaxy Quest so many times. Oh, there's a nail polish on sale on the fandom nail polish thing that I go to called By Grapthar's Hammer. And I was so tempted. I didn't have the money though, but I was like, oh, By Grapthar's Hammer. That's hilarious. Generations, really. I haven't heard a lot of people who like Generations. Jess, I love the Orville. I really like the Orville. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, and it also is something that you can tell in Joy's Trek and the little tiny details that puts in, like how they have stupid cups. You know, everybody noticed the Trek cups where they're all really awkwardly shaped and not something you would actually want to hold? Oh, yes. Whenever I see an awkward cup, I'm like, that's a Star Trek cup, and I need it in my life. I need it in my life. Look at it. It's square, and it hurts my hand. Just like they will be like in the future. The only thing I don't like is, again, like most things, it's the articles around it that ruin it, where it's like, oh, true Star Trek fans need to watch the Orville. And I'm like, you know what? Just let people watch what they want to watch. And if they like it more or don't like it more than Discovery, like, let's just let it be. There are beats, I'm not going to lie, where I feel Orville understands what Trek is better than Discovery, but Discovery is trying to do something different. But because of that, Discovery isn't always pleasant. Let's say that. It's not always very pleasant because it's made for a very different time and binge watching and streaming. And so you lose those. I actually have a whole conversations that is going to come out about this, but you lose the those filler quiet apps, which really built up the characters so much because we're in the shorter seasons, the binging, and you miss a lot of that. And that is a lot of people's Trek experience of being able to be like, oh yeah, go back and watch Data's Day, go back and watch this, go back and watch that. And up until the last part of, I'd say, season 6 and 7 of DS9, you can even do that with that one. But, you know, Voyage Home, that's what you're thinking of. That's what Game of Thrones is for. Yeah, Denton, I don't love them. I understand why people do them. And if people had to ask me which show I thought felt more Trekky, yeah, I'd probably go with the Orville. But again, it needs 3 seasons. You wouldn't say that the first season of Star Trek TNG felt Trekky. So give it time. Give it 3 seasons. It needs 3 seasons. Oh, Aussie Nerd, I also love the one where they do the thing. Remember the one with the guys and the thing? I think that's something that we're missing in today's age. Something that with Trek you have a bit more leeway with because it is so popular, which is giving something time. But so many shows these days, you know, they need time and they don't get it. You know, everything needs to succeed or fall right away. And that's not fair because lots of things, you know, once you get to that second season, they're like, yes. I mean, even think about Buffy. I think Buffy's second season is vastly superior to its first one. Well, I can tell you, Brian, I'm excited for neither because I don't like her saying the F word, not because it's a swear word, but just because I hate colloquialisms. I'm like, I live here and I can hear that. I don't need to hear that. I want to talk about DeLorean chocolates and stuff. I don't need that in my life. Nobody needs to order a breakfast burrito. Please stop. I'm not excited for Tarantino's either. I just need all of that out. I need my Trek to aspire. I love that. And I feel that that's part of what's missing for me and Discovery is this. Trek is a bit sanctimonious at times, and no one can pretend that it's not. No one can pretend it's not sanctimonious and being all like, oh, we're better than, and like preach, preach, preach. But that's part of it. It's the idea that we can be better. We will be better. We're better than this. And it's something to aspire to. Like, yes, one day we can be better. And Discovery, I don't feel it. I don't feel that. To me, it's very much in the vibe of a lot of things that are made now, which is we suck. We suck and we can't do better and we need to do better. And it's, yeah. But again, every Trek is from its time. If you watch them, they all feel as though they are from their time. And this one too. And I think that's going to be very interesting when it comes out, you know? Like, we'll see. Like, we'll definitely see how it goes. What do you guys think? Like, how do you guys feel about it, those who have seen it? I mean, again, like I've said, like, I need more time. Like Miss Fenris, I need more time. Like with everything, when you come back to it, you never know, right? But I really, yeah, you know, I'm glad it exists though. Like it opens the door for more Trek and it keeps Trek in people's minds. And yeah. I like seeing the behind the scenes stuff, Miss Fenris. I enjoy that. Like do you see the cake? Like my feelings, eating my feelings. They're cute. They're nice. They seem very nice. Exactly. More Trek, more fans, more things, more people interested in it, more people wanting to come up and make more stories. And that's exciting. Keeping something alive is always exciting. I'd much rather have Discovery than nothing. I really would. And there are parts of Discovery I like. I know I'm ragging on, but that's the thing. And people forget about this with every Trek too. Everybody rags on it at first. If you go back and look at anything, TNG was the worst show. DS9 was the worst show. It forgot what Trek was. On a space station, what is that? Voyager. Female captain lost in space. We already have that. Every single Trek starts like this, with everybody being like, what is this? It's the worst. It's a betrayal. So this isn't any different. That's what I'm saying. Like, this reaction isn't any different. So people trying to treat it like this is some novel thing. Like, no, this happens every single time. Every single time. Andorians just need more attention. I mean, exactly. Discovery could be the gateway. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody. And you know, you can like all of them for different reasons. That's the thing too. Like DS9 is very different from say TOS. And I love both of them for very different reasons. And it's potential that one day I'll come to really enjoy Discovery too, or at least appreciate it more. But the thing is, I am well aware that I will always have to watch it differently than the others. It's not the kind of thing where I'm going to be able to go back, I think, and like pick an episode here or there. It will be something I'll have to watch in sequence, but that's all right. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the universe. Oh yeah, now I'm remembering the Data and Picard singing scene. Well, it made me rewatch it too. Again, I think the most frustrating thing for me is still access. That is, and also access because it doesn't allow them to have as much feedback either. No, I know. That's the thing. Like, well, people always are hyperbolic, though, aren't they, Brian? Like, nobody likes it. They all hate it. Blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody's so hyperbolic when they criticize something. It's frustrating. And so many things are so easily not true. What's very clear is that Discovery is trying to go in a different direction, and whether it works or not, even if it stays that way, we'll see. I mean, Enterprise was trying to do its thing for seasons 1 and 2, and then it kind of course corrected in 3 and really course corrected in 4, and then ended with one of the worst series finales of all time. So I think the best way to get into Trek is to get into it for wanting to have fun with it and discover the fun fan community and acknowledge that Trekkies are intense. They're intense. They care about canon a lot, and they will argue about it till the end of time, and they have lots of feelings. Like, for people who say Discovery ignores canon, like, it doesn't. I think it's confused about canon, and people want to know where it stands, which is fine. But again, like, canon debates are to be expected, I think, in Trek. Sometimes they get too intense, but I think they are to be expected. And I think the way the series is handling that, not the series, but some of the creators around it, the way they deal with that is a bit dismissive, in my opinion, at least. What did I start with? I started with my dad. My dad had a cassette that was an illegal cassette that he'd copied off the TV of a TNG season 1 marathon that had about, I think, 12 episodes on it. And we would sit there and watch that. And I watched it over and over again. I memorized the commercials on it. Oh, it was such a good time. And then we would rent some of the episodes from the video store, like just random out of order ones, like rented the Man Trap, rented the Menagerie, rented just some of his favorite TOS episodes. And I didn't actually start watching it properly until I got my own computer and internet access. And I was able to, access like stuff and order my own DVDs and stuff like that to be able to watch it. I mean, they've always been atrociously expensive. No, nobody talk about Anton. That's too sad. That's too sad. Oh, that was one of the sad. I'm still sad about that. If I think about that, I still get really sad. And just the fact that they describe what happened to him, like, that's just one of the saddest things that I can imagine happening. I can't. Whew. Yeah, I have no idea what my dad did to get somebody on a tape. I have no idea how he did it. Oh, I love the skits too. The skits are great. The cons are great, Oh, Miranda, hi. The channel for men. Yeah, they did. I actually really like the toys that made us. I just find it very fascinating seeing how toys are made in general. So that's definitely the show for me, especially when they have tie-in shows. That's really cool too. He-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all kinds of shows with tie-in toys is great. Oh, that's so nice. They read your fic. That's great. I forget what channel it was. It was some Canadian channel. Oh, Anton Yelchin. He played Chekhov in the new, the AOS, the new original series movies. Is it a good fandom? I think it depends what part of it you're in. I really do. I think it depends what part of it you're in. But in general, I can only speak from my experience. I found it to be a good fandom. Even at its most annoying, it's always been a fandom I've enjoyed. But because I'm also very biased because I'm so deep into it. And also I lurk a lot. My natural state is to lurk. So yeah, if you're looking at it for the background material, so much, and the extra, the comics, the books, everything, even the Discovery books and stuff, it's so rich in that regard. It really is. I'm smiling at Sadig singing Fly Me to the Moon. Yeah, there is. And there's also, if you're into academic stuff, there's so much because it's such an old fandom as well. So there's so much to discuss in it. And people are still discussing it. And this new era of Trek is doing that too. And so that is exciting as well. I'll never be over colloquialisms, but that's just me. I hate colloquialisms in all things. It's not just a Trek thing. It could be anything. And nails on a chalkboard. I miss LiveJournal too. LiveJournal was so amazing. I used to make icons. Remember when people would make the little DPs and share them? I actually made DS9 icons for a bit. Yes, LJ icons. I had so many Bashir icons back in the day. Oh my goodness. I know, Miss Friend, it was a problem. It was like, what are you doing with your spare time? Oh, I'm just making really tiny icons. It's just kind of migrated. Things migrated, and also LiveJournal did a lot of purges, which was really irritating. And then the goat image would pop up and be like, "Oh, your account's been purged." Yes, Joey, that's definitely true. There is so much outside of it. I pretty much only use Tumblr for my videos and to hear what people are saying in certain sects, because Tumblr is not fandom, which is a misconception that a lot of people have, especially mainstream media. Yeah, exactly. There was lots of purges. So many purges. Tumblr equals toxic. Not all the time. Not all the time. It has good spaces too. It's just its format makes it very easy for things to spiral out of control very quickly, especially because it's not the most intuitive, I would argue. Battlestar Galactica? Battlestar Galactica? No, I don't think AO3 ever would. I mean, it's largely was created in response to purges on, LJ, fanfiction.net, and all of that stuff. Tumblr's too fast for me. I feel so old saying that. Like, it's too fast. I need to sit down with a good book. Art's beautiful. The art's beautiful. Memes are fun. I enjoy a good meme. I enjoy a good meme. It just needs to stay over there and not appear in my movies. What are those? Shuri, I love you, but what are those? Yeah, I've watched Stargate. I love Stargate. I love Stargate, particularly Atlantis, although SG-1 will always have a special place in my heart. And the original movie, I was in love with the actor who played Ra. So that was a thing for a while. I think that's a very good gem to make, Julian. Almost Human did deserve better. Swear trap. I can't hear that without thinking about What We Do in the Shadows. Werewolves, not swearwolves. Guys, we're werewolves, not swearwolves. Who was my Star Trek crush? Bashir and Q for a while when I was young. I don't have a type at all. I really don't, actually. Oh. I need to change drinks now. I drank all my pop. Now I have to go and drink water. Oh, once. I really wish they had dealt more with the book characters, but the way they dealt with them back in season 1, not the Land of Forgotten Stories thing they did later, but how they just incorporate them like Frankenstein. That was interesting back in season 1 when it was actually a mystery as to who some people were, which is something that I really wish they had stuck with. I don't think it's weird for you to have a crush on Garrick. No judgment here. There's no judgment here. None. Have all of the crushes. All of the crushes. It's fine. Oh, Chris Pine, Captain Mighty Fine Pine. At least as me and my friend used to call him. What time is it here? It's 10:18 here. Oh, O'Brien. I really enjoy Chief O'Brien. I do. Was anybody else horrified about the episode where he spent all that time in prison, but it was all in his headscape? Oh, that messed me up. Uhura is fabulous. She's amazing. And the episode where her brain gets purged to just relearn everything and it shows that she's friends with Christine, I wish there had been so much more of that. I am here for Uhura and Christine friendship so much. I'm also here for original Spock and Uhura because that was a thing they were pushing so hard, and that was the kiss they were going to have. But then Shatner had to be like, if Nichelle Nichols is kissing anybody, she's kissing me. And so it didn't happen. That's all right. I don't like the new one as much, but I do like it as an homage to the fact that that was what they were intending to do back in the day. Really? I can't believe that you can be the only person who liked Tasha that much. I thought Tasha was awesome. But did you know that she auditioned to be the counselor and Curtis, the security officer? Can you imagine the series where they switched? Think about it. Can you imagine Troy as the security chief? Because I really can't. Oh, remember the Hippocratic Oath episode of Voyager Cat where he's in the shuttle and they're talking and they're getting along really well, and then he starts saying, "Why can't Keiko be more like you?" and stops himself like right before he finishes saying it. Why can't Keiko be more? Also, Hippocratic Oath is just a fantastic episode in general. That was the thing, though. Like, DS9 had a lot of episodes that didn't have easily solvable answers, and it didn't always solve them, which I appreciated. TNG had more of a habit of trying to solve things, and DS9 did it. Discovery doesn't either, which I will give Jacket's Jacket for. It doesn't. It's definitely more nuanced, which I do appreciate about it. I just wish the people didn't feel so relatable to me. I really do wish that they felt more like people that I was aspiring to be and less like people that I could meet in a line at the subway. That sounds so mean. There's nothing wrong with meeting people in line at the subway. It's like, Well, yeah, Luna, because there's like television watching has changed so much. And I think that there's a more happy medium that we could find in between the very, oh my God, the word is eluding me. Serialized, that's it. In between the heavily serialized and the purely episodic. I feel that there's a marriage we could come to between those two much more than we are doing right now. Hi, Danae. Oh, The Force Awakens. Jedi Storm Pilot. Jedi Storm Pilot for life. That's the thing. I like the filler episode. The filler episode is almost a lost art at this point, but there can be some really beautiful filler episodes out there. I really love how they wrote Kira's pregnancy into that. I also love that that is her and Julian's baby on screen. That's their real baby that they show, and I think that's adorable. I'm a creeper who's like, that's their real baby. Oh my goodness. Oh. I'm just waiting to see if anybody else is as excited about the fact that Bashir and Kira were married in real life and had a baby, or am I just like a creeper like that? I'm a creeper? Okay, that's all right. I can live with that. I'm all right. Oh, the James Bond episode is fun. Eye patches all around. Yeah, I saw a picture from once posing with that image of him on screen in that episode. It was super cute. I just found it. I wasn't like creepily looking like, what does their kid look like? Why are we talking about Malcolm? Malcolm Reed and his love of guns. I like Malcolm too. I know. I love the resurgence of love for Alexander Siddig / Siddig Al Fadil, like, so much. See, I feel like for me with Discovery, they just need to grow on me, and they might never grow as much as like certain, as like for you guys, certain crews grew on me more than others. I just found more enjoyable. Like, I love TNG, but they're definitely not my favorite crew. Like, that might be something I think that might happen with Discovery, where I might come to appreciate it a lot more, but I don't think they'll ever be my favorite crew. As you know, as much as I love the actors on it, which is a very like, I really like the actors on it. I like the crew. Like, Discovery has this a bit, but not as much as some of them. But like, where it just feels like the people would hang out together in after. That's really important to me, which is a vibe I really get from TOS and DS9, from a couple of characters on Voyager and a couple on Enterprise. Oh yeah, I know that removal bummed me out too, so much. I can picture Alexander Siddig as the Doctor, actually. I really can. Can he wear his racquetball outfit? Okay, I'm going to stop. I'll stop. We'll forget about the racquetball outfit. Oh, like update? No, there's probably updates. Yeah, there's tons of updates that I'd like to do. Ugh, Voyager and poor Harry. Poor never getting promoted. That's one of my favorite episodes, where they can call home and Harry's mom is all like, do I need to write to the captain? You should have a promotion. I never got as much chemistry vibe for all of Voyager. Some people on Voyager I really got it for, and some not so much. And I was never here for the Tuvok Neelix vibe, which was clearly an attempt at a Spock McCoy vibe-ish that for me did not work. And I was just sitting there like, please, Neelix, I don't hate your character like so many other people do, but please leave Tuvok alone. Please leave him alone, imposing on his personal space and boundaries and mocking how he lives his life and touching him, especially because so many Vulcans are touch telepaths. Please stop. Stop. Just stop. And that's the thing, is that they acknowledge that in TOS slightly. So it's always a really big deal when somebody touches Spock or Spock touches them. Like, that is a huge moment in the For the World is Hollow, and I have touched the sky, where after McCoy passes out and Kirk tells Spock that he's sick, he touches him on the wrist, and they have this moment where he's just touching him, and there's this moment of understanding because of the telepathy. And it's so many little moments like that I love about TOS, these little really subtle character moments. I liked Kes too. I did enjoy Kes, and I did not enjoy how she came back all bent on destroying the ship. What Star Trek related topic would you most love to do a video on? More ships. Definitely more ships. More ships. Maybe once Discovery's had its second season, an actual analysis of Discovery and why people are reacting to it the way that they are now that they've had more time, and to see where it's actually developing and going. Because I feel it's really unfair to judge a show like that after just one season, especially when it's so clearly trying to build to something. Like, I think it needs more time. Yeah, no, Brian, I completely agree. I do too. Ugh. It's sometimes weird how things turn out, like the whole Smallville stuff with Alice and Mac. That's so uncomfortable. I just need more Klingons in my life. I enjoy Klingons. My husband always feels overrepresented and would love to see more Romulans. He's a Romulan person. Oh, I do want to do that Spurk shippable. I hate calling it Spurk. It sounds like a spork. I do want to do that Spurk shippable moments episode. I really do. Just for funsies. Also, I would love to do a Spones episode. as well, particularly as for some it's such a confusing ship, but I really feel their friendship. I feel it. and that's one of the things in the new movies that I really felt, especially in Beyond. You can do more than hope. You can expect, Miranda. You can expect. It's real. Okay, last time you guys were really helping me discover a bunch of things, or the last time before that I was missing out on, like fics and movies that I couldn't find. Okay, so there was a fic. It was smutty. Let's put that aside. It doesn't matter, okay? The smut wasn't why I liked it. That wasn't the point. There was a fic where it was a dark fic with Picard, Guinan, and Q. And it was diving into the aspect of how Guinan always says that, you know, her relationship with Picard, like more than family, more than friends, like this really intense relationship. So it was about how her and Q had this hate on for each other and were trying to find a way to express it. And she was like, so she was having sex with Picard and like Q entered into them while they were doing that. And it was just this really weird, dark fic. And he ended up finding out and they had to have this huge discussion about it. Does anybody know this fic? Is this a fic that anybody remembers? Please. It's awkward enough to discuss that this was a thing that I read. But if anybody knows what fic that was, I've been looking madly to find it because it was so interesting and I want to remember if it was as interesting as I think it was or if I'm talking it up in my head, but I can't find it again and I fear that it has gone the way of the dinosaurs and no longer exists, and that makes me very sad. Okay, Kuya, at least I feel better that I think that it existed. Like, I know it existed. I know it was real. It was as real as my Trelane and Kirk fic that I read once. That was like a BDSM fic, and it was real, and it existed. And it existed. Yeah, please, if anybody finds it, please tell me. If anybody finds either of those, please tell me, because they're, I know, oh, my luck's run out. Well, thank you. At least thank you for not judging me. Or if you are doing it silently. Nightly Owl, it varies. It really varies, and you can't get a clear consensus because it is so inaccessible. So it's hard. It's hard to tell how many of the really positive things or negative things are actually coming from people who have seen it or not. What is that? Is that a fic name? Do you think you found it, Nikki? That would make me very happy. I don't know if I'd be as happy as when we found Sinbad, but it's okay, Nikki. It's all right. I'll do another search one of these days. Maybe one day I will find it. It's also really hard to look up because you're all like that fic with Picard, Q, and Guinan, and that's not really enough. And you have to get into, and it's like so smut. Which is a video I want to deal with at some point. But I'm still figuring out the title of it. Sometimes I have to hold off just because I'm trying to figure out how to title something. Because some words, I don't know if you know this, but some words, people talk about a lot, but it's true. Some words just automatically get flagged and demonetized. FF is one. Like, you know, just F/F, like the fem/ designation, automatically demonetized because it is linked to some BDSM things, and so you'll, if you put that in, just no money for you. Get out. Well, I know, right? I'll have to go for Google, like AO3. Yeah, there's no way with my vague recollection I'm finding anything. I'd have to just use characters and hope that they had tagged them with the characters in it. Where did I read it? Squidge. It was one of those Squidge sites. Did people remember Squidge? Who else remembers Squidge? I'm trying to remember. This was a really long time ago. I was in high school. This was a long time ago, guys. A long time. Oh, Brian, I always feel like everybody should be able to talk about what they're into, but I really get it. I mean, depending on, there are so many different expectations. I mean, my brother writes fan fiction and he writes all kinds. He writes, but he does write a lot of FF, and he doesn't really say like who he is or anything because people make all kinds of assumptions when they hear that. Aw, thanks, Nat. I haven't written fanfic in years. I used to write fanfic. Actually, I wrote for Star Trek for a bit. I was trying to write it was lame. It was an adventure fic. There were space vampires. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Space vampires. That's kid logic. I like space. I like vampires. What if there were space vampires like Kirk got bitten on shore leave back when shore leave could actually be interesting and didn't have to involve Risa? I kept doing that in the book review that I just did, and I had to stop. It's such like a cocaine looking gesture. It's just a nervous habit. I touch my face when I'm nervous a bit. Oh, yeah, I love black tea. I love black tea and her fix so much. Blue Cat, I don't think there's an age where you have to stop at all. I don't think there's an age where you need to stop in fandom. I'm really not into age divides for anything. I don't believe in the whole, like now I'm a man and I must set aside my childish things. Like, no, I don't think so. Space Vampires equals Rave. I know. See, I was here for Atlantis before it even aired. Okay, Stargate Atlantis people. Did anybody else ship that one Wraith with Shepard? Was he John? Was he John? The John Wraith? Because I did. I read some dark fics with that involving like him sucking life out of him and putting it back and all kinds of stuff. But I was also someone who shipped Scorpius and Crichton, so I just need all the help that can be given to a person. Yes, Shepard Todd. There we go. Shepard Todd. You're on it, James. You are on it. I liked Todd. I liked Todd a lot. He was an actor that I like. He's a character actor. He's on lots of things. You might know him as the awkward, nasally voice man from season 4 of Supernatural. Since you're married with a child, how do you find time to stay connected in your fandoms? It is difficult. I'm not going to lie. But so much of what I enjoy is fandom related. Like I say, like I'm an introvert. Like I would much rather stay in with a book or rewatch a Star Trek episode with my friends or my husband than go out. So it doesn't take away from things I would rather be doing, basically. So that makes it easier. Also, because of the type of work I have currently, I work from home for now, which makes balancing it a bit easier. I mean, when I go back to work, which will be soon, it's going to be a lot more difficult to balance all of the things that will be happening for sure. And I'm going to have to deal with separation anxiety and all that stuff. And that's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. It also helps that my husband is into fandom as well. Not as much as me, but he's really supportive and really into it. So we can do a lot of stuff together, which is fun. And he's always really into discovering, my shows, my ships, all of that stuff with me. And he's to the point now where he can actually pick out like ships and stuff while we're watching stuff, which is cute. That's right. Oh, Taylor. I was here for Shepard and Taylor so much. I thought Taylor was so gorgeous. I wanted to be Taylor for a while. Oh, Mass Effect. I really like Mass Effect and Mass Effect shipping too. Mr. and Mrs. Shipper. To have and to hold, to ship and to ship. Oh. Don't be guilty. Feel no guilt. There is no guilt here. Does your husband have any ships? He does. Yeah, actually, my husband ships. He likes to say that his favorite ship is us, which is really cheesy, but I really like it. But yeah, no, he comes out of things and he has ships or just stuff that he feels is really obvious, like Yusuke and the main character from Persona 5, Bashir and Garrick, stuff like that. He low-key fanfics too, which is really fun. Like sometimes he'll just come up with an entire AU and then he'll just tell me about it. I always tell him to write it down, but he's too shy to do that. But he always comes up with these really elaborate things. Oh, when we were watching Once Upon a Time together, Emma and Lily, right away before me, he was like, so that, right? Oh, Harry and Luna. Any ships we disagree on? Not disagree hard or anything. Like there's some where he definitely thinks they're more viable or less viable than I do, or some where he thinks that I'm being a shipper about things, but never in a mean way. Just in a you're shipping again. Damn. As I told you, in one of the other live streams, he likes to say us shippers could ship 2 rocks together. Rock X rock. No, Wonder Woman and ice cream. Wonder cream. It's funny because fandom is actually how I met my husband. Game of Thrones, actually. So yeah. Well, they're going to make a couple Trek movies, Green Yoshi. They've got 2 more on the road in the AOS first. They've got that Tarantino thing. Oh, please do. I'm always here for Wonder Cream. I'm always here for cargo ships. People and food. I know cargo ships are more people and objects, and food has a different title, but it is late, and I don't feel like looking it up. It's very chill today. I'm digging it. It's because we're so specific. So actually, I like that though. Jason X break. Yeah, no, Brian, there's so many conditions and what's acceptable in acting or has been allowed to be acceptable in acting up to this point really needs to change. Odo/Justice. That is my new favorite ship. Oh my gosh. That makes me so happy. Odo/illegal surveillance. Jason Todd X Crowbar, that's dark. That is dark. Quark X Latinum. You're bringing the good cargo ships. This is good. Spock X Logic. This is so good. Kirk X Ham. Janeway and coffee. I do enjoy that. There was a nail polish in fandom month. There's coffee in that nebula, but I didn't get it because it's thermal and it had to ship to Canada, and I knew it would probably break before it got here. Cisco X Baseball. Cisco X Baseball X Ducat. There we go. Kirk X Walls. Kirk X Double Kick. You know that double kick he does that always makes him fall onto the ground too, which is hilarious every time he uses it. And he uses it in Journey to Babylon and gets stabbed. The 60s bloodless stab. Oh. Picard X Speech. We've got Picard X Earl Grey tea. Oh, we've got so many good ships here. It makes me so happy. Oh, this is great. Barclay X the holodeck. I'm sorry, that's too dark. He has a real problem. No, we all know that Kirk and his shirts don't get along. I mean, if there's any way he can finagle out of that, then he's out. Mm. Picard X Professor X. I've seen that. Yeah. The bringing the same actor and shipping the different characters. No TP Kirk X shirt. Red shirts X death. I know. As soon as you saw them beam out, I mean, Space Seed was an exception, but then she left to be with Khan. So I know that episode is problematic for a lot of people. I know what they're going for. I mean, they go about it in a very 60s way. I mean, they're going for she's just really into like this alpha man who doesn't exist anymore in her time period. Because I mean, well, Ricardo Montalban, I mean, can you argue with that? But it is kind of, you should wear your hair down. I read it very much like you just need to read it like a fantasy. Just don't read it like how you should actually have a relationship. Just read it like a fantasy. I'm going with him, sir. Shippers X ships. That happens to me. Yeah, sometimes I end up shipping by accident. Like, I don't ever go into anything being like, okay, it's time to ship. It just ends up happening. Con. I went through a phase where I just watched all of Ricardo Montalban's stuff. I had such a crush on Ricardo Montalban back in the day. And even when he did Wrath of Khan, I mean, still looking fantastic. And the fact that he did everything working through such intense pain, I admire that so much. Robert Downey Jr. likes blueberries? Really? Why do I say that like that's pertinent information that's going to like, oh, I know this now? I'm going to go get him some blueberries right now. I know, right? Cable Pool was pretty well handled, but it wasn't, yeah. Well, it's fine. We've got cable for 4 more movies, and Josh Brolin did a good job, so that's fine. My fixer's still online, but I doubt I have my login anymore. For all I know, they've been purged. I don't even know. I know. Well, Josh Brolin, well, Ryan and everybody. Just like Ryan Reynolds is a real sport. He's really embodying the character. I know. Bless Josh Brolin's heart. And I mean, the fics still haven't surged like I would have hoped, but there are a few more to tide me over when I go and reread every Cable Pool fic in existence. Which Trek series have you rewatched the most? Even though DS9 is my favorite, because it is more serialized, I think I've rewatched probably TNG the most. I really enjoy TOS, but TNG has that nostalgic link to my childhood, which means that a lot of the episodes can be very comforting for me. So sometimes I'll just go back and watch an episode that reminds me of, you know, a certain really comforting time in my life. And then I'll just rewatch those. They're just also really fun background for me because I know them in and out. I know them in and out. And I still get to introduce some new ones to my husband every now and again, which is really exciting. Doctor Strange X Cape is a real ship. That's a real thing. It was more popular for a while than him and his actual love interest, which was great. Hamlet X killing his uncle. Sub Rosa Ghost Sex? That is not the episode I go to, okay? Oh, whenever Trek tries to genre shift, it really varies. Like, remember how much it loved Dixon Hill for a little bit? Although, oh, the Dixon Hill episode. Episodes. I do like the idea of Picard really being into noir and wanting to be involved in that, though. Oh, I actually also really love the author episode of Voyager where he writes basically fanfic of his life on Voyager and they all get really mad and then they never address how he actually feels. They just all tell him that he's wrong. I love that. Of like where like fake Janeway takes out the gun and shoots the patient on the med lab. He's dead now. I'm like, it's not that far off. SGGX soul. Not all the time, but sometimes. Doctor Strange X Doctor House. It is, but it's not that off. Like, that's his crazy parody version of like her just doing everything. But lots of the episodes, like when she gets really intense, like it's her negotiating tactic, but because of that, it makes it really funny. Will go right through you. Like, she's really intense. It makes you believe that that's something that could happen. Yeah. The court case is what takes away from it. You're right, Brian, because then it does just wish it was Measure of a Man, but it doesn't even take the entire time. And then it doesn't even come to a proper solution about it. And then it cops out with all of the, all the medical holograms, now minor holograms, just watching it. Like, that's going to lead to something, which it doesn't. Make love, not war. This is a really intense stream, is it? We've been much more intense. We've been much more... Doctor Strange, this is my real name. That makes me so happy. I saw a t-shirt that said, oh, so we're using our made-up names, and I was tempted, but I stopped myself. I try to just get things that are visually amusing and not things that are really specific to people having to have seen the movie to know what my shirt is talking about. Maybe it was, but I do think that the court case derailed it a bit. And I think it would have been more interesting to deal with these feelings that he had about how he was being treated by the crew, like how he felt like his mobile emitter was this really big, huge hindrance, and that it singled him out and made him feel different. And they were really dismissive. They're like, it frees you. I'm like, oh, okay, so his feelings don't matter because he's a hologram. Or like the sections where they threatened to reprogram him, a thing that did happen. That happened. Remember, because he chose to save Harry first, and that led to a whole thing, and it messed up with his ethical subroutines, and they had to delete parts of his program because he was malfunctioning. So that was a thing that had happened. These were real fears and concerns based on actual things that had happened to him. I tweeted an article about Sharon because they're talking about bringing Sharon back and giving her an expanded role, which I'm sure all of you are excited about. I know how much everybody loves Sharon on this stream. No. Miranda. Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter. I like that everybody is just... Oh, that's so good. I agree with you, Luna. I really do. Or if they were going to do it, they should have spent more time developing it and not just thrown it in and relied on people's background comic knowledge to deal with it. We've somehow shifted into the MCU, which seems to be a thing that just happens. Also, Wallace XG, it's Wallace and Gromit repping in the house. I feel like the only person who really wasn't here for Steve end scene. I mean, I feel like it's a really logical thing to be scared and call out for your friend. So to me, that wasn't the biggest shipping moment. I really feel that it was just people really wishing there had been more shipping and then expanding upon it in fix-its, which is fine. But it's just, that movie just needed more of them on screen together, honestly. Actually acknowledging. It almost felt, it really felt like a really big slap in the face. I understand it. I do. Like, I understand where it's coming from. It's just, I don't, it's almost like a Voltron thing for me where I don't feel a lot of it is there, but I get it. Especially if you're already a hardcore shipper, in the same way that if you're a hardcore Stoney shipper, when you see that he has the phone 2 years later, it's like, he held the phone the whole time. He takes it with him everywhere. Yeah, Moonsword, but that's a lot of filling in extra canon after that. I know a lot of people are going to see, and it feels like it's almost like a rolling level of, oh, are you upset about this? Because they talked all the time. Grindeldor. He took it on his run with his fiance. I know. He's keeping his options open. I'm sorry, Miranda. I'm sorry. Again, like for me, like you were here, a lot of you were here for the Infinity War Salt stream. I mean, I know they said they had no time. I wish that a lot more of this stuff had been dealt with on camera, more than bang, 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 fight, 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 snap, snap, snap. But that's fine, you know. Snap, snap, snap. I saw a Thanos shirt that says "Oh snap" with him snapping the glove. That made me laugh. I'm like, Cap who just leaves Bucky. Who just never leaves Bucky and can't move on to his new boyfriend, Sam Wilson. Do you think they'll do new TNG movies? I don't think so. No, I can't imagine why. He kept it on his run while they were discussing having kids in the biggest foreshadowing of all time. I mean, narratively, if somebody brings up having kids, either they're going to have kids or they're going to die. It's not safe. I'm really happy I dodged the bullet, because apparently if you have a family and discuss kids, it is either going to go horribly for you or you're going to have a kid. I mean, it can't just be a regular discussion. It's a Chekhov's gun or a literal gun. Ugh, 90s nostalgia. I grew up in the 90s. I don't think I'm ready for it. Like when everybody's all back with body glitter and stuff, I'm like, I lived through this. I don't know if I need it again. What gel pens? Oh my gosh, gel pens. Remember the gel pens that could write upside down and all that stuff? Remember when people would try to hand in papers with light blue gel pens and all kinds of stuff like that? No, I don't think that's fair. I think that does a disservice to why people aren't here for it. I think a lot of them know that, but they wish he wasn't. Oh, what about squirts? Who else remembers squirts? Can we bring back a squirt? That'll be real 90s. A corduroy squirt. There we go. Scratch and smell. Smell-o-vision. That's way earlier, but remember when they were trying to bring that back for a bit? So I have to ask, because we're nearing the time where I will have to leave you all. What should we chat about next week? I mean, Star Trek was my big thing. It ended up being a bit of a mess because it's so big and I really should have narrowed it down. That's my fault. That's fine. But what should we talk about next time? Let's see. PGO, Percy Jackson, Olympus, Voltron, the 9, Idris Elba. It's just all Idris Elba all the time. It is Voyager Cat. It is. Ooh, classic literature. Good times. Chris? Which Chris? All the Chris's? Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt. Just going through all the Chris's. Death? That's dark. God, all the... When is it usually? It is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. Every Chris. Star Wars. Star Wars might be interesting, especially because Solo is flopping so hard. So that might be an interesting one to do. Yeah, we could go from Trek to Wars, even though people like to pair them against each other, which is understandable, but that'd be interesting maybe. Ooh, ships that aren't romantic but platonic. Bromances. That sounds interesting. That's amazing, Kimmy. That's great. I almost wore a Harley Quinn sweater to Infinity War, but decided not to. So Dr. Seuss. I can read you some Dr. Seuss. I have so much of it. Why must they fight not so graceful? For there can be only one. Is the rule of all things, not just Highlander. There can be only one. Canon ships that shouldn't be canon. Is that because people want to talk about Olicity? Was that shady? Are we trying to talk about Captain Swan? Caramel. Caramel is just really poorly handled. It's unfortunate. Concept isn't bad. Execution is atrocious. Oh yeah, 7-inch Kote for sure. See, we've got a whole list. We've got a whole list of things that shouldn't be canon. Nice, Luna. That's awesome. Well, I have to say, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging with me. And it's been super chill and super nice and not too salty, which I think is good. And got to talk about Trek, which isn't something that I get to do all of that often. So thank you very much for joining in for that. Next week, I think I will focus it in a bit more because this was such a big topic that it was kind of fun, like kind of hard rather to narrow it down. So we'll do something. We'll see. We got lots of good suggestions and I'm excited. So thank you as always. Many more of vids, but next week. Bye-bye.